that definition of freedom to do what you want at any time that you want. Just feel free without any type of restriction. I don't think this is the way how a human in this world is learning to grow. There is derived from the ancient teachings a saying, there is no progress, there is no development without restriction. And this means sometimes you need to have somebody telling you what you are supposed to do. Even if you feel like sleeping until like 10, 11 o'clock, well, it's not good to do. It's wake up, do your disciplined structure, and then learn to just do things which are not based on your own sense of comfort. But this sense of comfort is not helpful when it comes to developing yourself. The Shaolin practices, especially when it comes to children, it is still a playful way, because you're using the body, it's fun at some point, you like to do the things, but at the same time it's a healthy way to start to understand that this lifetime is not just about roses and butterflies. Sometimes you are meeting situations that you have to face and that you have to go through, meaning you're gonna meet conflict. At one or another point, you're gonna meet the feeling of having competition. And the martial art, the Shaolin practices, for example, I think is a very healthy way to already get used to. If you fail at one competition, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means practice more. It's not just the physicality that is so interesting about this tradition, about these practices. It is especially the question, how does all this physicality, all this practicing of using the body, how does it eventually translate into your mindset, translate into what type of character are you? Do you have patience? Do you have discipline? Do you have willpower? This is the question. Because when we go to school, there are subjects that we are learning. Mathematics, biology, physics, chemistry. But every human being has something, we have something inside of us. Some people, you would say, they have discipline, other people, they don't have it. Some people have gratefulness, other people don't have it. Some people have a natural sense of respect, other people don't have it. So the question is it coincidence that you are born with respect or that you are born with discipline? Or is these character traits something that need to be and can be developed inside the human being? Because if you are disciplined, you're going to have this discipline because it's part of your character. You're going to carry it on for whatever you are doing. Going to school, going to university, having your first job, building up your own company, doesn't matter what it is. This is that interesting part, what all of these Shaolin practices, what it is about. It is about figuring out what is the core of you as a human being that you can develop, and then afterwards, what you are doing with this core really doesn't matter. Some people make a professional life in sports, other people make a profession by being an entrepreneur, other people, they stay employed, other people build houses. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, along the way of creating something in this lifetime, there are some helpful human character traits or mindsets that I think they need development. And the question is now how to develop them. From my observation and sensing into myself, the more you're used or getting used to something, the more habits actually you are starting to develop. So we humans are beings of habit. The question is, if 20 years long you lived a type of life where there was not a lot of discipline involved, you can still develop it, of course, in the 21st years and onwards. But before that, we have to somehow balance out these 20 years of your habit of being undisciplined. What it means is, the older you get, the more habits you already have, the more difficult it will become to change any of them. This is why starting as early as possible is the easiest way to program yourself, condition yourself in the right direction of what type of habits, what type of thinking patterns you would like to develop in yourself. But the other truth is also, it depends on the openness of the mind eventually. Everything on the openness of yourself. So if somebody is 50 years old, but he is still open to life. Open to life means you actually realize about yourself that you know nothing about this lifetime. You have 50 years of human life, yeah, but 50 years is 50 years, yeah. So it really depends on how open are you staying throughout your journey in this lifetime. If you always take care of staying open, there is no limit in terms of how much and how much more are you able to develop yourself. The more limited, the more restricted, the more closed you are, the more you think you are perfect, the less you're going to change. Sometimes when people are starting to study or starting to get involved into any type of ancient practices or ancient teachings, like Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, just as an example, these ancient philosophies were developed in a different culture. It's not the Western culture where all of these things were developed. So of course it means that the language, the words, the pictures that are being transmitted are based on the culture for what it was developed. Here in the Western, very often you want proof and you want to have science as the one that is the truth. People believe numbers, people believe the science and all of this. And therefore, one very important thing, if you believe in science, then you maybe just listen right now what the scientists maybe say about their observations about this universe, which means that all the matter, everything that we humans see, the planets, the stars, the galaxies, what we see is 0.1% of what is there.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? So what does it mean? It means 99.9%, or let's say the majority of existence, you don't see.
Yeah.
So how can you as a human being say you know anything? There is a time when the child is born, he has no words in his mind. He doesn't know anything. When the child looks at the tree, now I said the word already, but when the child looks at that, it's there, it's obvious, there is something. But when does this something become a tree? Before he gets the information put in the mind of the child that this is a tree, the child still looks at that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It is only a tree because somebody is telling you it is a tree. Without somebody telling you a name for this, it is still there, it is out of doubt, it is in existence, it is not an illusion, it's real. Everything that we start to learn in this lifetime, from somewhere we learn to label everything, labeling. And this is the moment where the openness, the curiosity of whatever it is, it's just there, it is. But this labeling of giving everything a name, this is the reason why things along the line get restricted. Because we start to think in categories. This is good, this is bad. And it is useful for communication amongst people. But on the other side, in another state of being, in another perspective of looking at this lifetime, sometimes it's really not necessary to use words, because the words, any words, never describe what it is. It never describes what it is. The only reason we call this one right now table, because it is commonly understood and defined as table. If right from the beginning we would have said this is not called table, it's called chair, then today we would call this chair. So it's not a table, it's not a chair, it is just something we label it as. What is it in essence? In the moment we are labeling something. Labeling meaning you give something a word. If I say, look at the glass, we know where to look because this one we have named glass.
Yeah.
But why do you know where to look? Because this glass at this very moment is something else than everything it's surrounded of. So by using words, what we are doing is we're separating. Every word is defining a form. It is defining a shape. In the moment something has a form, something has a shape, there is something inside the form, there is something outside the form. You are separating. This existence is not separated. Let me give you an example. If you look out right now, what do we have? Do we have day or night? Even if we look right now out and you say it's day, it is only day based on our perspective because we are right now here in Europe.
Yeah.
But at exactly this point in time, It's day and night at the same time on the perspective I'm talking about. Day and night exist at the same time. This part of the globe, we have day. Other part of the world right now is night. At the same point in time, we have both. There is no chronology between now is day, later is night. Day and night coexist at the same time. Right now, we can sit here. We call this life. We all wish that now we have life. We hope this life is going to be 70, 80, 90, maybe 100 years long. And after these 100 years, then death can come.
Yeah.
Death and life is not a chronology. Who gives you the guarantee? Not right now. No matter how healthy you're living, you get a heart attack right now. Where's the guarantee?
I don't have one. It's one of my fears.
Yeah. Me, I don't have it either. I don't have the guarantee. I don't know every morning if I wake up. Death is not coming later. Life and death simultaneously at the same time. So using this type of perspective, success and failure, there is no successful person I know in this world who does not at the same time has success on this side and can prove to me on the other side all of the failures that eventually led to his success.
True.
So what it means is to live in a world where you think that we are living in a world which is about life. It is about light. It is about moving upwards. It is about successful. It is about beautiful. It is about higher, faster, better. This type of propaganda of making the human believe this life is one directional and that you can choose, I think is a misconception. And one day I feel the very hard reality is going to come. And the reality is that this one and this one, losing, failure, letting go, dying, getting sick, it is a part of every human being's lifetime. Now, just looking at the world, what is it that is propagated? Where is all the energy of the human being going? It only goes in this direction because it feels comfortable. Security. Insecurity is nothing. Uncertainty is nothing that you feel comfortable to deal with it. But what I'm saying is this and that, they belong together. There is no way out. And the earlier you start to realize this, the more real your view about this existence, about your life becomes. And what it means is you start to appreciate way more what you have right now instead of running around, starting to chase some things over and over again to afterwards realize you come alone, you go alone. Very simple. We talk a lot about mindset. It's all about mind. This is the essence of the Shaolin practices, not to forget. This is the essence. This is where all of the beautiful forms, the hardening, the fighting aspect of it, where at the end, all of it boils down to the point, how much have you understood about your life during this lifetime that you have available? That is the core.